TradeSquare is Australia's first business-to-business marketplace connecting people, brands and organisations into this diverse ecosystem in a unique global landscape. Through pivoting, transforming and reshaping, Australian businesses have an opportunity to create the model for the future that aligns with the world's needs and leveraging the power of a collaborative approach. Through the TradeSquare podcast, we will bring together dynamic, diverse and thought-provoking leaders from business, government and organisations to have conversations to further enable new thinking for the future. Welcome to TradeSquare, Australia's leading business-to-business marketplace. I'm Catherine Vandermeulen, and joining me today on the TradeSquare podcast is Shai Zarivatch, Israel Trade Commissioner in Australia at the Israel Trade and Economic Commission. How are you, Shai?
I'm very well, Catherine. Good to be on your show.
It is an absolute mouthful. Can you tell us about the Israel Trade Commission in Australia and how that all works under that banner?
Of course, with pleasure. The Israel Trade Commission in Australia is the commercial and investment arm of the Embassy of Israel here in this country, in Australia. And by the way, we are also responsible for New Zealand. And the role, missions, assignments that we have, our mandate, is to create as well as help support companies, businesses, startups, corporates to realize the potential to partner with each other. For Australians and New Zealanders, companies, businesses, to realize the potential to partner with Israeli companies with their technologies, services, and products. This is altogether our mission. Our mandate, if I need to describe it, is to support and strengthen the overall trade relations or the economic cooperation and integration relations between the two countries, and to do so in various different ways. To put it very simply, we provide individual support or business development support to specific companies that are approaching or asking us, and we are working to support sectors actively to then again realize the potential and engage with each other.
Tell us, who is Shai Zarivatch?
Okay. So myself, I've been in my position for the last 4 years. I'm based in Sydney. Important to mention, the Israeli embassy is in Canberra, and we have an office, or the commercial office is located in Sydney. Of course, one of two or a few major commercial financial centers in Australia. I am, in a sense, a career diplomat, so the position in Australia is not my first. I've previously been posted in Singapore. That was quite a few years ago, 2009, 2013. And altogether, I work and my office belongs to the Ministry of Economy and Industry of Israel. This is the office that I report to, the office that manages myself. And I am part, or my office is part of a network of commercial offices that Israel, or the Ministry of Economy of Israel, is operating globally. Currently, there are 45 such offices or posts, in a sense, and they are located. We are based in countries and particularly markets where Israel sees significant economic, commercial, and trade investment interests. Okay, so as you can imagine, 45 locations is not the world. And in certain countries, China, for example, the United States and others, there's much more than one commercial office. Basically goes to show the interests and the potential for trade with those countries and markets.
Why is trade between Australia and Israel so important for the economic development of both countries?
So that's a very complicated and lengthy question. I'll do my answer in brief. We are living in a global competitive world, and one of the key ways for countries to move forward, to continue their economic and human growth, human development, is through exchange of people, capital, and of course products, services, technologies. Okay, no doubt for Israel, Australia, and many other countries, that within the components of their economy and the drivers of the economy forward, international, foreign, global trade plays a significant major role. Trade and investments. Okay, it's the same for both countries as well as to many other countries that are open, are competitive, are part of the global economy, and they want to be part of the global economy. Okay, so that's the very short answer. It is important for Israel because Israel is a fairly small country and market that wants to be, and it is for many years, highly connected and integrated to the world's economy. And when I say the world's economy, I'm referring to the markets that we want to be part of. We want to grow. We want Israeli companies, businesses, Israeli investors, and every business entity or commercial entity, technology entity that wants to grow, they can only do so, or they can largely do so outside of our markets. It's the same for many other countries. For a country, for an economy such as Australia, to continue to develop, to be more competitive, it goes hand in hand together with integration, increase and development of your industry, as well as the trade with the markets of importance that a country is looking to and interested in to grow and to develop. And we are living in times, not only the two countries that we're talking about, that global economy is highly dependent on international trade than ever before. Hence, the reasons why the work that I do and my equivalents, the Israeli trade commercial officers around the world, as well as our colleagues here in Australia, Austrade is the government agency which is responsible for same missions to help support the Australian economy, via Australian companies, corporates, and other businesses to go global and to not only go but be successful, grow outside of your home market.
So, as experts in connecting Australian businesses with technology and innovation in Israel, what are some of the key trends that you're identifying?
Okay, so for the question to answer Israel and Australia meet, or what are the key sectors or fields that there is a very relevant, very suitable, very interesting points of engagement, one need to realize the core strength of both countries' economies and industries. And when it comes to Israel, for 3 decades now, Israel is a world leader in technology and innovation. So in Israel for quite many years now, there is an entire culture, spirit, experience, and an ecosystem that supports all those fields that I mentioned, that drives many ideas to be successfully commercialized, for many startups to grow and become real global companies, and for all of them to offer or to have advanced technologies, solutions in many key sectors of today's global economy. In financial technologies, cybersecurity, agricultural tech, medical equipment, healthcare IT, space exploration, and the list goes on. Artificial intelligence, everything to do with data management, analytics, big data, and the list goes on. Okay, Israel is a small country with a fairly small economy, but the technology sector in Israel that crosses many of those sectors that I mentioned, from agriculture to medical equipment, is highly developed, advanced, and successful in Israel. It is also highly global. Okay, all those companies, startups, are not only looking into the local market. Majority of them, from day one, they see themselves as a company or as a business with solutions, services, or technologies which will be catered for the world, not for the local market. If we put that on the side for a second, the Australian economy, by and large, is looking and is open, and there's a strong appetite and realization that they need to move forward in developing their own and integrating most advanced, most competitive, then again, technology solutions in the various sectors that I mentioned. So that's one point of engagement or interest that exists between our countries. Okay, there are many more. I mean, it's just a window into one element of what Israeli companies are looking in Australia and what those Australian companies are looking in Israel. To put it simply, everything to do with the digital world, and every sector nowadays is engaged or has the need to be connected, to be secured, to provide technologies and solutions that are supporting better productivity, efficiency, competitiveness, and it is largely can be done by integration and adaptation of most advanced solutions out there. Not only, but many of them are absolutely Israeli.
And so, how do you go about enhancing trade, investment, and industrial research and development between Australia and Israel?
So this is done as it is always has been done before COVID, and hopefully when borders will be open again. The flow, the visits of individuals, of representatives, of business missions is the way to go about. Come to the market, speak with the potential partners, right? Review, research, and analyze the potential to partner with each other, to bring value to each other. During COVID and for almost 2 years now, everything has been shifted and is done online. So in a sense, though it's not exactly the same, it is not gigantically different. Discussions, demo and piloting is taking place online. Nothing is stopped. I mean, there might have been a freeze of a few weeks and months before everybody gotten used to the new normal, but for almost 2 years now, commercial engagement, virtual business delegations, and one-on-ones are taking place over the phone and, of course, virtually, as we have this discussion right now, you and me, right? We're not in the same room. We are talking to each other via a virtual platform. So visits, engagements, discussions, negotiations, and implementations are continuing almost as they were beforehand.
And so, what are some of the cultural sensitivities that really need to be considered when working between Australia and Israel?
So by and large, Israelis are very used to and familiar working, operating in Western economies, the United States, European ones, both the proficiency of the English language as well as the understanding of the protocols, of the codes, of the how to do business and best practices of doing business when it comes to Western countries. Okay, so from my experience and understanding, there's not is that are beyond bridging over. Okay. Now, of course, it is not exactly the same, and there are differences in the way people behave, engage when it comes to a business meeting or discussing a potential deal. But by and large, the differences are not that great. Altogether, I can say that Israelis are characterized by moving forward, a culture of let's get to the end point, maybe sometimes without stopping to see or adopt or prepare. And Australians are more reserved and needs to make sure everything, every step and every level has been checked properly. So there could be differences sometimes, but altogether, differences are minor in our experience.
And so, taking a holistic view, why are partnerships between organizations so important?
Because in a connected global world and economy that we are living in, and the constant need to move forward, be competitive, be ahead of the game, be able to get exposure and connection to most advanced, it is inviting collaboration. Okay, the threats, the challenges are similar to many, but the ways to overcome them are to work with each other, both when it comes to governments, by the way, as well as, of course, for the private sector. Okay, there are scores of cyber security or lack of security threats out there, and the best way to overcome and to tackle or to deal with is to share knowledge, best practices, and of course the implementation of most relevant and advanced technologies to secure to tackle such threats. That's one excellent example of why collaboration or partnerships is the best way to go about.
I love that you use the word collaboration because it's so important to creating a really dynamic partnership that goes both ways, that everyone wins in that partnership relationship.
I fully agree. Correct. Thank you.
So what is a key message that you are passionate about that you are championing through your work?
There are many. When you look at the evolution or even the history of the relationship, the trade relationship and economic partnerships or integration between Australia and Israel, you can absolutely see how things have evolved and emerged. I've been here in Australia for 4 years now. I think that if you were to visit Australia about 10 years ago, or even longer, there will be a realization of why do we even need to get exposure to what's out there. The economy and economic progress, development with human development and infrastructure have been moving very successfully forward. I mean, you know this as well as I do. For the last almost 30 years, the Australian economy have been growing quarter by quarter, year by year, very successfully, largely being driven by the success or the cycle of commodities, of the resource industry, okay, mining industry here. Now, this is not about to change anytime soon, but we are living in a 21st century global world where the digitization of every sector of the economy is moving so quickly. There is an understanding or realization here and openness to meet, engage, realize, and discuss partnerships with those who have developed such means and solutions long time ago and are the head of the game. So the same openness that exists today was not there 10 years ago. Okay, Australia was not where it wanted to be or where it thought it should be, because of the economic drivers that are still in place. And so, in a sense, the two countries, the two economies, and the two sectors are perfect match. A lot of interest, a lot of appreciation, two friendly countries, which results in many other outcomes. For example, one that I like to mention is the fact that there are currently 23 Israeli companies listed on the ASX. I think it was quarter the number about 5, 6, 7 years ago. Okay, so there's a strong realization, openness, appetite for that. Not only collaboration is a good thing, and we all agree, but it is highly immediately valuable for businesses, for corporates here in this country, for the future development, the future competition, the future of their safeguarding of their networks, and many others.
And so, Shai, finally, thinking about the future, what are some of the hot topics at your office at the moment that really kind of forecast what the future brings?
There are many. We are living in an interesting world where data plays a more than ever increasing importance, and the usage of data, the processing of data for the management of data for the benefits of every organization, every company, every business is more than ever important. Okay, there are scores of companies and startups coming out of many countries, but definitely from Israel, which are providing solutions or softwares to properly manage data and come up with more results and more and better directions. Big data, data analytics, and the top of the game is no doubt artificial intelligence. So, having said that, my office is busy with many companies and we are promoting many sectors. No doubt that the management of data for the benefit of companies' progress, for corporates' continued growth is a key and is an essential key. That is just one example.
Well, Shai, thank you so much for sharing your world and really unpacking innovation and technology and it being such an important part of who TradeSquare is as an organization. So we really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Catherine. Happy to share my thoughts and opinions.
For more information on TradeSquare, head to www.tradesquare.com.au and support Australian business economic recovery and growth with a collaborative approach to the future of business.